Athletics is a unique sport in that it covers several disciplines in between weights, jumps, long distance, short distance, hurdle, some very technical events. So for that we need a very, very big coaching structure. And right down through the years we've always been able to run the club well, have good administration in the club and a good coaching structure. And there's always been a very concerted effort within the club to keep that structure in place.
Leevale Athletic Club was founded in 1967 by local Cork athletes who were committed to developing a world-class club in Cork. Soon after its foundation, Leevale's training structure started to prove its worth as Leevale athletes began to win.
Our first great athlete was Donny Welsh, who went to the famed Villanova school. He was coached by Jumbo Elliott, which was a legendary coach.
I won the Irish Cross Country Championship in 73 and 74, second in 75, one in 76, third in 77, one in 78.
The breakthrough probably came in 1971 in Helsinki, where there was a great 10,000 metres. Donny ran into 10,000 metres for Ireland that night, and he set a national record. And that's the proof for the athlete that in a big competition you can break the national record. You can take the pressure and do the business. So from then, in 1972 then, Donny ran in the Munich Olympics in the marathon. So it continued from there on.
I was one of the first Leevale guys to compete in the Olympics in 72. And we had a string of people after that then.
So Donny was the trendsetter. Other great athletes followed then, Colm Cronin himself, triple jump record holder, Marcus O'Sullivan then, 3 World Indoors. His first one in Indianapolis in 1987, he won 3.
One of the best guys I ever coached was Marcus O'Sullivan. I coached Marcus when he was in Creasry, and I started coaching that time as well when I was running as well, to put something back into the club as well, that after coming from the States I had a bit of experience, so I kind of used that. And Marcus then was one of the best. I sent him to America on scholarship, then sent him to Villanova University, and now he's the head coach in Villanova University.
Donny took me under his wing for the year, and I went from being a relatively okay athlete to a very good athlete, and consequently he put me in a position to be able to go to Villanova and to spend 4 years learning my trade, so to speak, as an athlete and as a student. So when I think of Leevale, I think of an environment that was provided to me from caring people, coaches that were willing to give their time in the evening times after work. And it allowed me to grow as a young person, but it also allowed me to grow in a very friendly environment. That was competitive. We were competitive, but it created an environment of friendliness where I just remember enjoying it. It was my escape. It was the part of my life where I loved going to practice in the evening times. It was my excuse to get out of homework. It was my excuse to get out of the house. And at the same time, little did I know that it would all end at the end of my juvenile years with something special.
Mark Carroll then, from the north side, was an outstanding world-class 1500 metre runner, 3000 metre runner, 5K, world-class athlete. Donald McCarthy competed in the Olympics for us as well then, in the sprints. Devil O'Rourke, she's been with us since she was a young child, and she always had, first of all, she was blessed with natural ability. You'll win nothing without natural ability. She had a great technical coach then in Seamus Paul. So as a young child, she was taught properly.
Devil O'Rourke is swiftly out of the blocks into the head of Killor at this point. Killor will come strongly in the latter stage of the race, but Devil O'Rourke is overtaken now. The cheers are for Killor, but Devil O'Rourke is on her way surely to the final. Devil O'Rourke, second, into the final she goes. History is made. The first Irish woman to make it to a 100-metre hurdles final.
What a trademark terrific start from O'Rourke put her in medal contention alongside local favourite Sweden's Susanna Kallur and Germany's Kirsten Bohm. O'Rourke improved over the last 20 metres, and as she crossed the line it was only the colour of the medal that was in question. And after an agonising wait, when it looked like bronze would be her reward, second and third places were reversed and O'Rourke was celebrating silver with the Irish fans dotted around the Ulevi Stadium.
Didn't think I got a medal. Because I thought Kirsten was second, and I just was like, please let me get bronze. I'll take any medal. You know, when you're sitting there, you take anything. I was like, just don't let it be fourth. And when it came up, couldn't believe it. Absolutely unreal.
Third from the left, Leevale O'Rourke, 3 years on from her world title in Moscow. She's well out of the blocks this time and rising well, but going well in late three is Behrings. Behrings of Belgium. O'Rourke is still in medal contention. Behrings of Belgium. She's in the medals. Derval's got a medal.
Leevale O'Rourke right on the far side there, looking lane number 1. Will be in 4th place there with a new national record. Of course, the former world indoor champion. She surprised everybody with that run and has done very well here today.
I think for juveniles, Leevale is a very important club. I think if you want to get your kids involved in athletics, it's a great club to do it with. Some very, very committed volunteers in the club, and that's what the sport is based on. So many volunteers, and I think they do a great job with the kids coming through. I remember spending a lot of time training with Seamus Power, who was my hurdles coach, and I think he probably ingrained a lot of my love of just running hard and hurdles from him, so he was a really great coach for me as a juvenile.
As well as these superstars that we had, I mean, we had loads of national record holders, both men and women, down through the years, since 1967. We're still a very strong club, from juveniles to seniors, and we have good structures in place.
And Leevale's commitment to athlete development has helped over 40 young athletes gain scholarships to study in some of America's finest colleges.
Cater for athletes from right across the board. I know we've boasted, we have our former Olympians, and we know that, well, I think we've been represented in nearly every Olympics since 1972. Which is a proud tradition for any club, but we cater for all standards. We have athletes who have competed in the Special Olympics. 2 of our athletes, in fact, in the last Special Olympics, won silver medals, and indeed one of our Special Olympians is currently the county senior shot put champion. And I would hope that every young kid that comes into the club looks up to our seniors and aspires to become a good senior athlete.
Down through the years, Leevale was a middle distance club. Changed a small bit now. We're middle distance now, and we have a very strong sprinting section as well under John Shane. We have 2 very good athletes at the minute in hurdles. 18 years of age, perfect age. That's the age you want them to be very good. And one is going to the World Junior, which is it's probably the greatest competition in the world at junior level.
I was amazed by how people got speed into them. So that's how I got involved with athletics. When I got involved, I took up sprinting as coach, and I took it from there then. So it was important that you knew what you were talking about when you went to the athletes. So you can explain to them, and it's very important to explain to the athletes that why they're doing the 30 metres, why they're doing the drills. Our athletes decided to start travelling, and when they started travelling, they realised that they got more confidence. They saw that these guys were just the same as themselves. And the more they ran out and when they went away, the more confident they got. Even they went to low-key races and they started producing. Even at this stage now, we're beating the English guys.
Well, last year I competed at the European Youth Olympic Festival in Finland. And this year I've been out to Mannheim in Germany for the junior gala they hold there, along with my club mate Patrick Mara. Next year now we'll have the World Juniors in Estonia, and I'll be hoping to get the qualifying time to compete there and then to do quite well in the actual event. There's a very good social aspect, and we have a great group at the moment, and everyone really gets on very well. As well as that, I really enjoy the competitive side of athletics, and I'm always pushing myself to do better. I feel at the moment that Leevale's structure is well capable of bringing me to competing at high level at senior international, and that the coaching and the competitive training aspect mean that there's plenty of room and ability to improve.
Particularly with young athletes, if they're not taught properly and shown properly, they will not get into it, and it will affect them for the rest of their career.
I suppose athletics is something that many kids do as when they're younger, but sometimes they don't always progress to do when they're older. And say, for example, you see people playing Gaelic football or hurling, and you'll always pick out the ones who used to run, because they'll always have that extra strength, and they'll nearly always be faster on the pitch. I suppose, like when I was 8 or 9, or up until I was in secondary school, I was nearly doing everything from all the track events to cross country. And then as I went into secondary school, I kind of started mainly just sprinting. And in the last years, I've moved on to middle distance, so I've kind of tried my hand in nearly all of it at this stage. So when you do come to training, you are training with it's girls and boys, and you're training together. I suppose that's the one special thing about it compared to other sports. You know, like there's so many other sports out there for kids like that. It is the one sport where it is combined. You know, so it's kind of more of a real life situation rather than being segregated into girls and boys. You know, it's a sport where kids can make loads of friends, and it's somewhere that they know they can come every however many Tuesday and Thursday evenings or Saturday mornings, and that they know they're going to meet their friends here and have fun. So it's a great club to be part of, and it's a social club, I suppose, as well. You know.
There's not much point in you having fantastic under 10s and under 11s if they're not running at 18, 19 and 20. That's the success, that you can bring them up from 10, 11 and 12 and turn them into senior athletes. And we've seen it all. You get big surprises in athletics. A young child, 10 or 11, might be average, but 17 or 18, something clicks. Like Marcus O'Sullivan, when Marcus O'Sullivan was 16 years of age, he could not get on the Leevale team. He could only get on the B team. 18 then, he was promising, but when he went to Donny Welsh, got on to Villanova and got him a scholarship, and he blossomed in the States and became a world-class athlete.
I've been here the longest, I think, of the sprinting group, so I've been here for nearly 20 years. I think in terms of competition, my earliest memory is always of relays and always of team competitions rather than the individual competition, and being your team being as strong as the weakest person. I think that was a lesson you learned so quickly in athletics. People think athletics is a very solitary sport, but certainly amongst the younger kids and the younger juveniles in the club, it's all about the spirit and camaraderie of walking back during each run. We look after our injuries very well, no matter what the age of the person. There's no making people run if they're injured. We respect muscular injuries, perhaps where other sports might try and push things for the team. You know, when you're athlete-centred, you look at the long-term picture.
Leevale is still pushing its athletes, using every modern technology to help gain that edge.
My title here is UCC Exercise Physiologist, and my main purpose is to operate the laboratory here, which basically serves to provide fitness testing and health screening services to athletes, like Leevale athletes, for example. I provide a whole range of different tests to those individuals with the purpose of giving them some feedback as to their physical fitness, and to give them then some direction as to how to improve or how to better that. For the more middle distance or long distance athletes, what I typically do would be a treadmill-based test, and that would entail looking at oxygen uptake, both at sub-maximal levels and at max. So at the end of the test, we'd get a measure of the athlete's efficiency, a measure of their lactate threshold, and also their VO2 max. For the sprinters, I would typically do a range of jump tests to look at leg power. I'd do a range of tests on the track to look at speed, acceleration, multi-sprint endurance. We've been making improvements every year. For example, this coming year, we'll be able to use technology to look at starting blocks, so we can assess exactly how the sprinter is reacting to the go stimulus. So we know if one side is pushing off more than the other, or if they've got a very slow or very fast reaction. And obviously that's a great benefit to Leevale.
We're working at the moment with some local authorities here and trying to get an indoor facility for athletics in Cork. And I think that will be the key to promoting athletics in Cork, and particularly in Leevale, of course.
Our club also looks to the future. We always look to the future. We always say, don't go back to the 60s, we had a house, we bought a house. Then we progress onto a clubhouse. Now we're progressing onto an indoor track. When our club gets it going here, it is going to be a full international indoor facility actually. And so when that's there, it'll prove it again. It'll only bring it on leaps and bounds then. Then we'll have people coming to us from other countries to compete here because we can hold indoor international meets.
To think that we've had such success right down the years with Olympians every year except 76 is a huge, huge achievement. And to think that young lads who are going to run around the streets of Cork City, put on the Leevale singlet and they suddenly grew to be confident and be able to win all Ireland's first and then go abroad and be successful internationally. It is an extraordinary achievement.
So we've kind of history of coaching all the time as well. And I think it's all down to do with the structure, the way Leevale look at athletics is that we try to enjoy it and also be competitive.
The advice I would offer is to be consistent, to be committed, but to enjoy yourself. More than anything, to enjoy yourself, to relax, to take advice from the coaches that have been doing it years and years before you've arrived as a juvenile athlete. And to not overthink it, not overanalyze things, but just to go out and enjoy the sport and to learn about yourself.
No matter how fast or slow you are, don't think that you can't do events. Do hurdles, do long jump, do sprints, throw the javelin, do as much as you can and just enjoy it because it's an event for absolutely everybody in athletics and you might think you're not good at something until you try it, so try absolutely everything.
The ethos of Leevale is the same now as it was back in 1967 and it was based on integrity, sportsmanship and an ambition to try to get the best out of yourself. And excellence was always the goal, and we had no barriers.